Hard refresh.
I guess we can get started. So, hey, welcome back.
Welcome to Hard Refresh.
Welcome to Hard Refresh, episode. We won't mention that.
That's as good as mentioning.
Take two.
Well, that ended up like no. Shaq doesn't have to put the art refresh over my voice now. So today we're going to take a break from the accessibility stuff, and we just kind of wanted to talk about some sites we were obsessed with, or certain things we were obsessed with over the years.
Yeah.
However, before we start, Nikolai, you have something.
Oh, yeah. So this is actually from Shaq, one of our producers. We've got Mango Habanero Limeade Mead made with lime juice, mango, and habanero peppers.
Okay. Mead from Maine.
From Maine.
So let's see. He says it's not spicy, but Shaq is not a good arbiter for that. All right. I'm not gonna take that much, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. What percent alcohol does this have?
Hopefully it's not a lot.
We are lightweights, in case you can't tell.
Dude, I am a lightweight.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Cheers.
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Smell
I'm
it?
gonna like this. Cheers. Let's see.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Wow, that's surprisingly good. That wasn't what I thought it was
Smooth.
going to be
And it's
at all.
oh, and there's the spice right at the end.
I'm still waiting for spice.
Where is this from? Honeymaker. Cool. Good stuff.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, good stuff.
Give me that.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, he's getting more juice.
More juice. It's very. It's very juice-like.
And I've had mead that is like tastes like honey. I've had mead that tastes like wine, like super dry, and this one is kind of in the middle. It's really nice.
I learned this fact 21 years ago, I guess, almost 22 years ago.
Okay.
That the term honeymoon,
Honeymoon. Okay.
right, when you get married, going on
Yeah.
honeymoon, comes from mead. They would make
Ooh.
a special honey mead, and that's what they would serve at the
Ooh, very
after
nice.
after the wedding. So
Okay.
that's where honeymoon, mead, moon. That's where
Cool.
it came from.
Very
So
nice.
interesting. Font of useless information. All right, so I'm going to start first,
Yep.
and I'm going to try not to tap the table and freak Shaq, our producer, out.
Okay.
So, I want to start with 37 signals.
Okay.
So, if Shaq can put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
So, this is a 37 signals manifesto, and this 37 Signals was a new design agency. They created Basecamp, and they became Basecamp. But before that, they were a design agency. Carl Segura, I think, was the designer for them. Jason Fried was one of the guys. David Hannemeyer Hansen, who created Ruby on Rails.
Wow.
Great, right? So the thing that was fantastic about this site and why I was so obsessed with it is this was happening around the same time that people were going nuts with design craziness on the web. And you come to this site and it's all text.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Very
37 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculously clean. Was probably, with the exception of some government sites, probably the most accessible website back then. But that was it. And all it was about, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe, and that was it. And they taught even like copywriting. I mixed copywriting. Occam Razor next. Nearly all corporate sites commit the sin of dullness in their writing. So this was about telling stories. And at this time, when the site came out, everything was about the visual. The writing was crap on the web, but because nobody knew how to write for the web. Everybody knew how to write for magazines, and they knew how to write for newspapers, and knew how to write for TV, but nobody knew how to write for the web, and everybody was still figuring out. Even users were still figuring it out. Right. But this was groundbreaking, And then once they did it, nobody else could do this.
Right.
You couldn't do this again because immediately you were copying 37 Signals.
Right.
But what the hell were you copying?
Right.
Right? So, however, as with a lot of things, 37 Signals, specifically when it came to Basecamp, and a lot of designers, developers out there have used Basecamp in the past. That was the first real project management tool I used. They never even called it a project management tool; it's a communication tool.
Okay.
But there's some interesting UI stuff that's happening here, or experience stuff. The jump link over here on the right.
Yeah.
So jump link to all the different chapters, everything's semantic in terms of what the chapters are, and then they have this kind of calendar-esque looking thing, and they have a previous and next. It's a little navigation overkill, but
this probably in the era of like frames, right?
This was in the area of frames.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So probably for me, literally one of the most groundbreaking sites ever, and I was obsessed with this site. I'm like, oh my god, like, how do you do this? How do you change this? How do you make it a story? And that informed a lot of what I did coming up, because I started, as you know, in the web in '93, pretty much when it started. So
this probably only slightly related, but it kind of reminds me of A List Apart. Have you seen that? That's yeah. So they had a lot of really good techniques.
So it's funny that you landed on this one. My cousin's buddy is a web designer. That's what I love. Don't let him do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So these guys were completely unapologetic about what it took to create web design and create websites. And it's like, if you don't want to pay our fee, then okay.
That's
we'll part friends. See you later.
Yeah. And
that was it. And it was, and they kind of kept that mantra all throughout. It's very kind of, no bones, no BS. Really, really appreciated that.
And so where are they based?
Chicago, I think. Yeah.
And do you know, are they still an active agency, or are they just 100% Basecamp now, or support?
They're 100% Basecamp now. Yeah. So Basecamp was a tool that they created internally, much like Twitter was internal to get the main company, just for them to communicate.
Oh, Bootstrap was a
Bootstrap too, right?
For Twitter too, yeah.
37 Signals created the Basecamp tool for them to communicate and get their projects done.
Right.
And then they realized, hey, let's let this out into the wild, and it took off. It was a subscription model. They had a free model too, which was it was definitely a freemium type of thing.
Right.
And their free version was fantastic. I think it just limited the amount of projects you can have. Yeah. And then that just took off, and then at some point, I don't remember when. It happened well over 15 years ago or so, or maybe about 12 years ago. They just switched. They said, you know what, we're no longer doing client work. This is it. Basecamp is it. So, but they kept this manifesto up, which I appreciate, because as we'll see later, some of the stuff that I have on there, you can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway,
cool.
37 Signals manifesto site.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and my
Shaq, maybe you can put in a cool transition. Let me talk to the next one. He's so serious when he does
Don't bother him.
Yes, I will do that. Don't talk to me.
Well, I was gonna say my favorite site, the one I picked later on, is completely dead. It's on the Internet Archive now. So thank them too.
So let me talk about this next one,
sure.
And then we can talk about the other ones that are completely dead.
Sure.
Okay, so Feltron. So this is a guy, designer. Lisa D'Elia, old design director here at Millennium, turned me on to this guy. And so what he did was he created an annual report for himself. Starting in 2005 and going all the way through 2014, he did an annual report every year.
On his life?
On his life.
His own life accomplishments, right?
So click on 2005. Actually, the first one I saw, I think, was 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
what is
so
happening
if
here?
you look at it, it's like So you can click on one of the pages. So this is kind of the intro, but keep going.
A lot of infographics.
Yeah, so that's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's all infographics. So this is where he moved to. Mm-hmm. He talks about pages and books that he's read. He talks about gallons of coffee that he drank, places he was.
What? So is he keeping track of
food
this?
He ate, photos he took, places he took those photos. So
right.
Yes. So what was phenomenal about this for me was the stick-to-itiveness that this guy had. He literally tracked all these pieces of his life each year for 10 years, and then he created an annual report with like amazing visuals and graphics. And like this, like 2005 when he started, Wired was still kind of doing these like amazing like layouts and design, and you can kind of see the progression of different design styles. This was very
2013.
Yeah, and you'll see how.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
so
what is
right.
happening?
So now all of a sudden, so this was a huge opportunity for him, basically to play as a designer, but bringing this was really the first time that I saw like data being brought to life for anything other than boring data stuff. Right. So this guy was taking stuff that wasn't typical. You would never try, like SMS messages he got, emails he got, Facebook messages, Right. So, but creating amazing visualizations of this data. And then of course, when we started work with, Institute, that all of that, all of this stuff, and Lisa and I would look at these, like, look at this, look at that, look at this. So this wasn't necessarily a site, so to speak, though he did publish these on the web. I think he actually printed some of these too. And
they look like they're ready
and
for
you
print.
you could order them. so one of the phenomenal things, this certainly was. I think it's a little different now, but within the late 1990s and 2000s, there was this fervor over the web because so many things were getting invented and changing and happening all the time. Like now that's just the way it happens, right? We know it's like, oh, let's try out this library. And then like 6 months go by, we're like, oh, nobody's supporting it. Let's move on to a different library.
Yeah.
That's called foreshadowing.
And I still see that a lot with modern JavaScript libraries, and
and in terms of and then it's like, oh, if somebody's still using that, you're like, are you still using that? Why? Because I spent 2 years learning it, right? but back then there was so many new things coming out, and like design on the web was brand new. Like, and I remember taking design aesthetics and practices that I would do for print, where you had boundaries, and the expectation of the viewer was exactly what you were doing. You had WYSIWYG and you had to still say screen to paper, but you knew that. You knew what RGB was going to change to CMYK. You knew that. But when we were dealing with 640 pixel wide screens,
right,
and then 800, 1024, holy mackerel, that was a massive screen, right?
Yeah, well, you'd also very often take the height of the common monitors, right, into account too, because you didn't want a page that scrolled, which is still a concept that I see some people struggle with.
Above the fold. Well, and then the idea that above the fold, obviously taken from newspapers. When you would fold the newspaper, everything that was important had to be on the homepage. But for years, decade, I would say, became everything's got to be above the fold.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered one I wanted to put on here.
You want to go to it?
I don't even know if it's still it was 10K10. 10K10.net.
10K10.
No, the number 10.
The number 10.
Yeah, 10K10. S01E09
like that.
Yeah, maybe it's still up, maybe it's not.
Oh, it's gone.
Probably gonna have to dig it out.
Okay.
And maybe we'll put a link to it in the Wayback Machine, in the show notes. But this was a site that was all about isometric design.
Oh yeah.
So.
This is bad.
No, you got to go back.
Yeah.
Way back. I just said way back.
Like the Wayback
Or
Machine.
the Wayback Machine. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this and you've never actually been to the Wayback Machine, it is awesome.
Yeah. So I heard these people would take donations of old computers just to take the cache from the old hard drives and see if they have any gaps.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do these guys pay for this? Because the bandwidth's got to be insane.
It's insane. It is.
Because they literally have a record of the entire. I don't know.
But they do magazines too, right? So like.
I don't know. Do they?
Yeah, like Dreamcast magazine, for example. They've got everything, every issue.
Really?
Scanned.
So, if you're watching this, please put in the comments how the Wayback Machine actually makes money, because it's amazing.
And we're not getting this one.
No. Okay. So forget it.
All right. So
we'll do that in another one. So anyway,
yeah.
Feltron, annual reports, absolutely amazing stuff. He did stop them in 2014.
Yeah.
Which was like, I was like, oh no, he stopped it because I remember I was talking to Lisa when it's the last year he's doing it, but phenomenal stuff, and cool. Just like amazing stick to itiveness. Yeah. All right.
Mine stinks compared to this. So
no, but these are like sites that, oh my god.
So this site is Bodo's Lair.
What is this?
So this was the site. Every time I could get access to the internet, this is what I would be looking for.
Is discount airfares?
I don't know what.
What is that? Is that an ad?
I think it's literally an ad. Flymonster.com.
Okay, all right. Because that's just funny.
Yeah.
Bodo's Lair.
So you had two options. You had the quick access one, and you had the full graphics one, which, by the way, just has more of these GIFs. But it was basically a site with like lists and jokes and GIFs and.
Tables with
tons of tables, So this is, I'm talking 98, 97. What
God,
year?
yeah.
So let's see how far this goes back, right? 97, yeah. So some of my favorite jokes are like top 10 funny things to do in an elevator, top 10 ways to order pizza. So hold on, let's see if I can actually get into some of these. No. We gotta go back more.
This joke site requires frames.
Let me try the quick access version.
I'm
gonna go back more.
This is phenomenal.
Bodo's Lair jokes.
This guy liked The Simpsons.
So you had, I mean, everybody liked The Simpsons, but yeah. Look at this, and it's got like all these.
Are these like are those keywords?
Those are keywords that he just embedded in there.
The amount of cardinal sins this site is perpetrating on my eyeballs.
Let me try it one more time here. I'm hoping I can get through.
This is fantastic.
Come on.
Download a new browser, Netscape Navigator. New Internet Explorer. Yeah. And you're on a Mac.
I really want to get to these jokes. Hold on, let's see what the Simpsons thing has. So, and yeah, this is just tons of Simpsons stuff. So here was a 3D Homer. I remember I saw this. My mind was blown. I think this is coming from one of the episodes.
It is. Yeah, that's when they did 3D.
And he had theories too, like, oh, there's going to be a new Simpsons movie and it's going to come out, and this is what it's going to have, and trivia questions, right?
So this was a magazine.
Yeah.
This guy was doing a magazine.
Yes, and he would update it so often. Like there'd be an additional 10 new jokes on the list.
So that's one of the things that something like this is fun, because I had something similar to this. I never stuck to it.
Right.
Years ago, it was called the Killer Page.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wah, wah.
Right.
Based on my last name, so I can get away with that. Yeah. But it was like I did reviews of bands, and did reviews of movies, and it was better than this, but it wasn't that much far away. But but that was the thing. Like you were doing this. This was all HTML pages.
Yeah.
And you would just do this in your spare time all the time because it was so new. It was so great. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And like the fact that this guy kept updating it.
Yeah.
This is the beginning, at least, of the dopamine hit that social media gives you, right? It's like, oh, I got new content, and then all of a sudden he sees his ticker go up. It's like, oh, like five people viewed the page, 15
so
people viewed the page.
He kept this running up until I want to say like only about 4 or 5 years ago. He lost the domain name, but up until then, he was still like his site looked exactly the same. It was more of like an archive.
Oh yeah, he just kept it.
But,
he probably at some point says, you know what, I'm not paying for this anymore.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the games don't work anymore. But I remember this was also my first experience too. Oh my gosh, here are the games. Free JavaScript tutorial. Java games.
Tutorials.
None of these are gonna work. But anyway.
ActiveX.
Blocks. Cool Tetris game.
Oh, come on. Is something going to happen? There's the source.
There's a source. Yeah, and I'm sure the applet was here, and maybe it's not loading.
Playing instructions. Yeah, you could play it right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really wish I could get to these jokes. Okay. Next time.
Well, yeah, because with frames, that had to load in the other page, so all that did was load in the frame set page,
right?
Which you're not gonna. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. So look, they didn't have to be great or groundbreaking. This was actually pretty amazing and very indicative of what the web was at the time.
Yes. And I remember. So when I first started making websites, it was GeoCities, and everything was absolutely positioned. You still had frames, but you didn't have to do tables anymore.
But when you say absolute position,
it was like
you weren't actually absolute positioning something.
No,
it was where it was.
Yes, it was like.
Oh, you were doing a WYSIWYG.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus! Yeah. I wonder what those. I wonder what that code looked like.
X, Y, and this
probably horrendous.
Not responsive at all.
I never used GeoCities.
Yeah.
I was already coding HTML by then, so I'm like GeoCities.
All right, go to the next one.
Wrap it up. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Okay, so, all right, so this is more along the lines of just Flash in general.
Okay.
So to really see my thoughts on Flash, go to the Mill 25th site, watch our Royston Munt video on Flash. We're not going to play it for you. We'll link it in the show notes. But specifically, when Flash came out, it was an amazing, groundbreaking thing that let you do stuff you could not do ever in HTML.
Right.
And the and I actually remember I did a site for a musician, and I actually did a Flash site and made it responsive.
Whoa.
Now, there wasn't mobile at the time,
right?
But was responsive between large monitor and small monitor.
With the whole thing with scale?
Yeah, things shifted
okay.
and moved. And a couple years ago, I actually went back and was pulling up some old files, and I'm looking through them because I think I was testing to see if I could even open up old files. I'm looking at the action script too that I wrote, and I'm like, I wrote this? Like, holy crap, this is complicated. Yeah. I just remember just totally losing myself in writing these and figuring these things out. And we implemented a content management system in Flash.
Oh, nice.
So it would basically pull copy in and just place copy.
And there was
but you could do images too.
Admin backend.
There was an admin. Right. Well, no, you would go into the admin URL.
Okay.
And then it was the website, but you would click on it, and then it would edit. Right there. It was called Flash Blocks. It's called Flash Blocks.
Cool.
So, anyway, that one was nice and short because we don't really have anything to show, but Flash absolutely paved the way for all these animation libraries.
Yeah.
All the things CSS can do, because it was people looking at that and say, we want to be able to do what Flash does, but it's got to be semantic, and it's got to work across every browser, because that was a big thing. People like his name's escaping me now. The All This Apart guy, I'm totally blanking on his name, but he was big on making sure that things worked across the spectrum and no matter where you were looking. And so Shaq, when I forget my name, we're going to put his name up underneath. I can't believe it. Anyway, it's going to bug me because as soon as we stop recording, I'm going to think of it.
So for me, Flash growing up was all about games and animations. So I remember like Homestar Runner. That was
Homestar Runner,
incredible. But there are a lot of video game companies that are still making games today, modern games that got started as Flash games, like the Alien Hominid guys. They still make games, and they ported that game, and it was originally, I don't know.
Do you remember Plants vs. Zombies?
Yeah. That was a Flash game. It looks like it too, but
yeah. Oh, and so Flash now is actually still used a lot in like production animation.
Right.
I think shows like Archer, like there's a very specific look to Flash stuff, it's still being used for that, not being used for websites anymore. But,
right.
But anyway,
cool.
But I digress.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed a little kind of walk down memory lane of some fun sites that we obsessed about in our youth. Anything parting to say, Nick?
Well, I was just going to highlight the importance of, I think it's important to preserve a lot of this stuff. So, I'm thankful for, the archive, but it's just sad when you hear something like Flash that's, I guess, a lot of that code doesn't run anymore, or it's lost, and...
it doesn't run anymore, right?
Yeah.
It would be amazing to be able to have, maybe there even is a way.
Yeah.
But like it's not allowed on the platforms now. Yeah. So the only thing you can do is spin up an old machine.
Yeah.
That's running OS 9.
Yeah.
Or Windows 95.
So I guess I'll just invite our listeners and viewers. If you had a site that you used to love and maybe it's gone, maybe it's still around. What sites were you obsessed with?
Yeah.
And let us know in the comments.
And hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell notification so you get notified when we post new stuff. Right now, we pretty much post stuff every 2 weeks. And hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments, questions, and feedback below, especially what Nick said. Love to see the type of things that you were obsessed with as you started designing or developing. And
don't forget to hard refresh.